Hi guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to have some Division 19 ranked online gameplay from Season 10 in the lightweight division using none other than Dustin Poirier, who's probably the best fighter in this division, and we're going to be coming up against a leg kick heavy Justin Gaethje. And I just wanted to showcase this gameplay for several reasons, one being it's a high level fight against a Division 20 Justin Gaethje, who's got 2 wins on me prior to this fight, and also because I know a lot of people struggle facing against Justin Gaethje, just constantly use the leg kicks. And we're going to talk a bit about how to deal with that throughout fights and what things you can do. But before we get into the actual breakdown of the fight here, just want to say a huge thank you to everyone that subscribed and all my subscribers. We're on 88 right now at the time of recording, and I'm extremely grateful, very happy that we're forming our own little community. If you have any content suggestion, please let me know in the comments below. I also stream now maybe once or twice a week, early in the morning, that's in the UK time, so feel free to jump in, we can run up some games also. And if you haven't, please check out my previous video, the Hamzat Chimaev showcase. That's a 2-part video, the first part being a top control breakdown, and I go over which positions I think are my favourite, and I just want to get as much feedback on that as possible. We've had good feedback from the graph, so I want to see if it's something I can implement more in later videos. But getting into the gameplay here, as you can see, we just got a leg health event, and I think we got a stun also. And Dustin Poirier is by far the best fighter in this division because everywhere you go he's just phenomenal. But close second for me would be Justin Gaethje. The only thing I don't like about Justin Gaethje is the fact that he has that weird block animation instead of the moving away animation where you put your arm out. It's the block that I think it blocks hooks better, something along those lines. But every time I use it, it gets me into more danger than it does good. So I'm not a big fan there, but that's his only downside. I think Justin Gaethje is phenomenal in this game, and for someone as like myself that's a very leg kick heavy style, which my opponent is here, he's very good to use. But getting into the actual leg kick side of things, if you're coming up against a Justin Gaethje that knows how to use leg kicks, or an Edson Barboza, even a Dustin Poirier, and Israel Adesanya, John Jones, all these fighters that are, when you come up against, mainly predominantly use leg kicks, Alexander Volkanovski, you need to accept the fact that you will take leg health damage, and your leg health may completely disappear towards the end of the fight. But it's what can you do to stay within the fight and, you know, battle through that adversity of not having your leg health. Because obviously when you lose leg health, you also lose the power in your hands, so it's a very big thing. And that's why now you see a lot more players starting to utilise these leg kicks. And here, for instance, in this gameplay, I know my opponent, he needs to utilise these leg kicks. That's his main form of attack. So to mitigate this, I can either try leg kick back, which, you know, obviously isn't always the best answer, but I can try to diminish his leg health. 2, I can try check his leg kicks. But one thing you have to consider is, for instance, say you're coming up against a Jose Aldo, which I'm not in this video. If you have that, is it still chins? Then they start to check your leg kicks, your leg health's going to completely go as well. So it's like a catch-22. But I always recommend just throwing an odd leg kick here and there, just to have that threat in your opponent's mind that you can throw them as well. But predominantly you have to check your opponent's leg kicks. That's, you know, the main thing you're going to have to do. And obviously that leaves you vulnerable to the head. But you've got to pick your battles. And as you can see, I'm checking these leg kicks now, and I'll retaliate, hitting one back. We get a start, and we're throwing off very good combinations here with Dustin Poirier, mixing up very well. And then I do too much, I go for another leg kick which he blocks, and then my leg health is deteriorating. And this is the way the fight is going to go. Both our legs are going to be completely gone by the time we're done. So my approach here is I'm going to work my opponent's legs, and I'm going to check as many leg kicks as possible. So then that takes away my opponent's game plan, because the more I check his lead leg, he'll have to switch stance, and he'll throw it with his other leg, and then that will deteriorate as well, and then that completely neutralises my opponent's main source of offense. Obviously the other thing you can do is grapple. Obviously if you're grappling, they can't throw leg kicks, and that is a good option. But here I felt like I had the advantage in the boxing, so I'm trying to be within boxing range as much as possible. And by checking these leg kicks, my opponent's eventually going to stop throwing them, which therefore means that we're going to have to keep coming into this boxing range unless my opponent's trying to grapple. And as you can see, my opponent's completely taken away my right leg now, and that's where I said where you need to block, where you start blocking low, they go to your head, and he went high. But you've just got to have a bit of composure, as you can see. We're ever in the storm, and I favour myself very much within the boxing range against my opponent. So I know once these leg kicks stop coming, because my opponent's legs also really hurt, and it's just going to take a couple more checks, and my opponent's going to eventually have to stop throwing them, because if I start checking them, he's going to fall, and then when it goes onto the ground, I can jump onto the ground also, and I've got the advantage on the ground with Dustin Poirier against Justin Gaethje, because obviously Dustin Poirier on top's got very good submissions also. And again, this is all centered around taking away his main weapon, which is the leg kicks. And as you can see, these checks now, they're starting to come in and really do a number on my opponent's leg health. And then my opponent gets the stun with a spinning elbow, which that move is so annoying. But again, look, another check, and this is going to install in my opponent's head, you know, you've got to stop throwing these leg kicks, because it's just hurting you. Now it's not even being utilised at all, it's factoring in more against my opponent than it is for my opponent, and these mental things will start to clip in, and then it's going to force my opponent to either grapple with me, which I'm more than welcome to, or force my opponent to come into a boxing range to try out box me, which I'm more than welcome to. So again, we're taking out his main weapon here, and as you can see, my opponent's legs now, we're in a terrible position. We tried to get to side control, but done a good job of getting to the feet. And yeah, so once you take away that main leg kick threat, the fight's going to get a lot easier for you. One thing that I was doing very well throughout the fight, if you hadn't noticed, I was mixing in my combinations, and I was digging that lead hook to the body, and that's been zapping my opponent's stamina. And you'll see coming into round 3 where my stamina's at. Obviously we can't see my opponent's, but you can see that my stamina isn't in an ideal, it's in an optimum level for round 3 of a 5-round fight. That is 98% left in the 3rd round. That's pretty much unheard of in a fight that's been pretty hectic. We've both been throwing quite a bit. It's been non-stop action, and I know my opponent's stamina is not in this position, and that's purely because my opponent's only really been focusing on my legs, because that's his main form of attack, of course, and therefore hasn't been going to my body. And when he's throwing these boxing combinations, also hasn't been going to my body. It's only the few times in the clinch that my opponent's thrown knees to my body. So therefore my stamina's in a good position. Because I haven't been missing too many shots, obviously when you miss shots you lose more stamina. That's why my stamina's held its place where it is right now. And I know my opponent's tired because my opponent keeps clinching. And this is where I can really start unloading, because I have a full stamina to work with. My opponent definitely doesn't, so I can throw longer combinations. I can probably take a strike better. And as you see, my opponent's trying to get me down to the ground now. He's trying to do everything possible, trying to sneak in these leg kicks, but we get that check again. And this is where his fight's going to start crumbling now in this 3rd round. And as you can see, these combinations are flying beautifully. We get the knockdown here, and it's only a matter of time now really before I get the finish, and we end up into side control. My opponent does a good job here, and I opt to get up because I don't want to just sit in this position when I know I can get up now and I can really force a finish. And again, I'm forcing him into this boxing exchange by standing literally right in the pocket. Get the knockdown again, pushing towards the cage. Couple hits on the way, couple hits there, he drops again, and what a chin he has, and good movement there and a good block, which gets me into half guard. And now, as you can see, the fight's completely shifted because I've taken away his main weapon. And this is what you've got to do when you face these heavy leg kickers. This is how you should beat them. Of course, if you're not that confident in your stand-up, and again, it's contextual, it depends who you're using, but if you're not that confident in your stand-up, look to go to ground. But if you can't go to ground, this is what you've got to do. You've just got to check as many leg kicks as possible. Throw some in return where you can. Be smart, work the body, and eventually you'll get the finish here. And again, another knockdown's come here. Push my opponent to the fence. Survives again. And then unfortunately gets hit there, and then the fight's over. So I feel that was a pretty entertaining fight. It was a good fight to show. I mean, my opponent's obviously Division 20 high level player. We say respect at the end. But yeah, that's how you've just got to survive the initial onslaught of leg attacks. And I know it's extremely difficult. I know it's extremely annoying to play against because it is a tool that I like to utilise. But it isn't impossible to beat these fighters, and you aren't just forced to grapple them. If you can't grapple them, just stand with them, check the leg kicks, force it into a boxing range, work the body. And it was really the combinations that saved me throughout that fight, constantly mixing in the combos. The next video will be a Sugar Sean O'Malley video. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you next time.